Friday morning, 8:30. Good morning to you. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. Streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. My name is Colin Worthington. I'll introduce you to my guests here in just 1 second. As soon as we figure out how to turn these things on. There we go. We need to have labels on these mics. That'll be helpful. You think we'll do that in the future? Anyway, hey, we're on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page this morning as well. My guests sitting to my right, Brian Dill, President and CEO of Carroll Tomorrow, kind of brand newbie, although he had worked with the group several years back, so it's a return of sort. President and CEO of Carroll Tomorrow and Carroll County Chamber of Commerce. And to my left, Eric McDonald. He has been President and CEO of Haralson County Chamber of Commerce for pert near a decade. Is that right?
Almost a decade.
Yeah, that'll be next year, right?
Yeah, they hadn't run me out yet. They keep trying, though.
Yes. Well, congratulations on that. A big party in February or right?
Oh yeah,
February
we're having a big party. Come on, everybody, come down.
Well, you guys did a joint event last week. Pretty big name. The chamber president for the state came in and spoke on a topic: winning the war for talent. So is that the first of future partnerships for you guys? Is that an example of something we're going to see in the future? These local chambers working together.
Oh yeah, it's these bigger issues like workforce really require us to work together because one community can't tackle these items. I think we have what you guys are hosting in November, the housing conversation.
Yeah, looking at a housing opportunity there for workforce housing and really what's coming down the track. If not then, first quarter, but. To Eric's point, I think it's high time that we look at a regional collaborative approach to business recruitment, development, and retention. One of the things that Chris talked about in the presentation was the amount of openings in our industry sectors across the state. If you look at 2023 to 2025 to 2030 and how rapid these companies are growing in the state of Georgia, continuing to expand, what that does to the existing workforce in a post-COVID environment was quite eye-opening, a little scary.
It really is. When you look at that and you see that in just one category, kind of in the nursing category, 24,000 job openings. So to give a little perspective, the front page of AJC at some point had Rivian, about 7,000, 7,200 jobs, Hyundai, 8,100 jobs. You add those together and it is not even close to the current available jobs in just one category, and that's nursing. So when you start adding I think the state, they just released some numbers, about 31,000 jobs were announced in the last fiscal year. So you start adding all these things together and you start wondering, how are we going to fill these new jobs plus all of these existing jobs that are out there? And a lot of people like to sit around and kind of point their finger and say, hey, somebody needs to come over here and fix this. Well, that somebody is the community. And so that is exactly why we have to start working together, because Haralson County isn't big enough to address this problem by ourselves. And our business community is not big enough to do it by ourselves. And so that's why I'm excited about these partnerships, because when you add Carroll, Haralson, Heard County, you start looking at this regional play. Well, now we're talking about just in membership, maybe 1,300 businesses that are able to start looking at the solution to, in this case, the labor market. Maybe in the next conversation, it's housing. And as we take these big issues and really just start kind of peeling those back, we could really make a positive move going together.
And it's not too much to think that like a new business in Haralson County could affect Carroll County. I mean, whether it's with housing or a business that could need another business, or if a big business has 1,000 people, you're going to need a new restaurant, and it'll affect Carroll County.
That's right.
As well.
Yeah, I mean, you look at both of our existing industry bases, and we'll get into a kind of our new joint approach here in a minute. But if you look at across the 3-county area and look at the number of existing industries with job openings in competitive environments, and then turn to our economic development arms and say we're recruiting 2 companies with an aggregate total of 800 new jobs, well, what does that do? We better be very careful and strategic as to what we recruit, how we recruit, in an environment where we're also trying to help those existing industries sustain, grow, and succeed. And so, in a post-COVID environment, that looks altogether different. Pre-COVID, in Tanner alone, we were averaging probably 80 openings across the system. Post-COVID, we went as high as 450, 480, we're back down now, but that environment looks the same across the spectrum, be it a Southwire, be it a manufacturing company. So when you look at through those lenses, we better be very strategic in what we recruit and how we can support those jobs and those companies when they come on.
Well, according to the State Labor Commissioner yesterday, released for the Three Rivers Regional Commission and Northwest Georgia Regional Commission, the workforce numbers at all-time high. I mean, but then you think about all the jobs that are still open. I mean, I think the number employed are all-time high as well. Maybe not for Three Rivers, but for Northwest Georgia. But I mean, how could that be? An all-time high and still have all these jobs open.
Well, there's participation. So you have, even though the employment is higher, there's still some people that just aren't participating for whatever reason. And Chris Clark did a great job talking about that. Women in the workplace is lower. And some of the reasons for that you have other folks that aren't participating in the workforce. So we got to make that number even higher. And to your point earlier, when you think about it, jobs, investment, capital, relationships, they don't really care about political boundaries. When you land a company, whether you landed in Carrollton, whether you landed in Tallapoosa, whether you landed in Bremen, people are going to work, they're going to shop, they're going to play, they're going to go to school, all over the area. And so we have to start thinking about our customer, which is capital, which is wages, which is jobs. We have to start thinking like our customers and start blurring those lines so that to be successful. And you see this has worked out in other areas of the state, and so we've been watching, and I think that this fresh approach is really an excellent way to put ourselves on the map, not only just to make our own community better, but also to really shine in the state as, hey, we're West Georgia, and this is a really great place to be.
Time right now is 8:37. My guest this morning, Brian Dill, President and CEO of Carroll Tomorrow and the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce, along with Eric McDonald. He's the President and CEO of the Haralson County Chamber of Commerce. Again, with all these jobs out there, are we seeing local employers able to raise wages to attract more people? Because, we talk to the county, we talk to the cities, and, they're talking about the public service more so. They're talking about wanting to be able to pay more for those jobs. But, I mean, other businesses out there, are they being faced with the same thing, and are they able to accommodate that?
Yeah, what we're seeing on a local level is companies making competitive business decisions to grow out of necessity, either contractually, they're taking on new service lines, and they're having to make a concerted effort at incentivizing those job openings, be it through longer-term contracts, front-loading with incentive offers on signing bonuses.
Like Pilgrims, you see sign from Pilgrims out there all the time. It's
absolutely.
We're going to give you $2 million to sign on.
I've never seen a retail food service do it, but they're doing it as well. I mean, we're literally competing with fast food in some respects, and so that brave new world is in some cases out of necessity, but in others that if they're either going to grow or back up, they're going to lose business, and so it is a competitive business decision to engage that way, but also retain talent.
Do you think initially that these businesses, they were just kind of holding on to the fact that we have all these jobs and we know there are people out there who aren't working, and that everybody wants to work? They believe that everybody wants to work to get money. Was there that belief at some point? But now we've got to accept that.
Well, I think some of that, and the other thing is, certainly for Haralson, and I think Carroll's not much different. 80% of our people leave every day to go to work somewhere else. About 45% of our people
and Haralson's
drive.
like one of the biggest in the state for that, right? As far as leaving the county to go to work. Yeah.
I will say proudly, we went from 80% to 79%, maybe a rounding error, but yeah, we'll take it. But you start really thinking about that. So if you want to make a widget, or if you want to provide a service, or if you want to be able to survive, you have to raise the wages, because people will hop on the interstate, drive an hour for $3. And so one of the things that we started doing was we bought this, it's called Jobs EQ, but it gives people not really real time, but quarterly. So the data is maybe three months old, but we go into the businesses or we zoom them in, and you can start digging down by job classification, and you can start looking, okay, if I have these jobs and we're paying this rate, where am I in? And they divide it up into buckets. So am I in the 10% bucket? Am I in the 25% bucket? And so they can look and see, well, if I'm paying $16 an hour for this job based on other jobs within a drive time or whatever parameter, they can see, well, man, no wonder I can't find anybody because I'm fishing in the 25% bucket. Or they can say, I'm really going to up my service, or I'm going to add this new line. What does it take to fish in the 75% bucket? And so they can look at that. And so that data helps them.
That's a big significant difference, though, right? 25 to 75.
Yeah, but some companies do that, especially a new company coming in, because they're going to try to capture those people off of I-20. But at the same time, they're also going to try to capture some of those folks that are local industries because they know that they'll drive local. And retraining people to get off the interstate is a really hard thing to do because they've been doing it for decades. And they don't think that they can find a competitive wage in Carroll County or Haralson County. But the truth is that they can. And so educating our folks, getting into the high schools, telling our high school kids, hey, look, when you graduate, there is an opportunity for you here. So, yeah, but that is a problem that is so much bigger than just one organization and just one entity. And again, that regional approach is the key.
Time right now is 8:41. We're going to take our first break. Our guest this morning, Brian Dill, President, CEO of Carroll Tomorrow and the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce, and Eric McDonald, President, CEO of the Haralson County Chamber of Commerce. We are on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page this morning, and assuming I can access that, I will share any questions or comments with our guests. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.
The World Language Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined, curriculum-based track to acquire essential knowledge and skills for success in biliteracy fields of study. The successful completion of this journey provides colleges with a method to recognize a rigorous foreign language immersion experience for all students at Oak Mountain Academy. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
8:42. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. And this morning we are on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. My name is Colin Worthington. My guests representing the Haralson County Chamber of Commerce and the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce. Checking in this morning, we have Lee Allen. She says, "This is awesome."
Well, Lee Allen is awesome, so yes.
That is a good Friday right there.
And
Yeah.
John Daniel over in Haralson County says these partnerships are vital for the future. So I appreciate John always checking us out. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Again, my guests this morning, Brian Dill and Eric McDonald. Before we go on into something else, I do want to remind everybody, within the last 2 weeks, Haralson County made the big announcement that the landfill will not be going in, which I think made a lot of people, residents in Haralson County, happy, and maybe some in Carroll County, because saw some Carroll County residents taking up that fight as well. We spoke with Ronnie Ridley, the chairman of Haralson County, after that meeting, after that was announced that the county would be buying that land. And he suggested that there are plans for, or he's hopeful for an industrial park in that area. What's the latest on that, and how feasible is that?
So 1,400 acres is what they have a purchase agreement for, and then there's an option for about 600 additional acres that they have to exercise by some certain period of time in the future. And our job really now is, okay, kind of like a dog chasing a car. We caught it. Now what? Mm-hmm. And so back it up. The community spoke loud and clear. And if you were in any of those meetings, they said no, thank you. That politely to the landfill developers. The county commission said, yeah, no thank you. And then they told the state Supreme Court, no thank you. And then the state Supreme Court, of course, said no thank you back. And so the commissioners had kind of a choice, because they had to decide, okay, are we going to let these guys mothball this land and then meddle around in county politics for the next 20 years in hope of getting a friendly board at some point to try this again? Or are we just going to double down and buy this and take our destiny in our own hands? And so the county commission did a great job of putting, county money at risk, public money at risk to buy this land. And so one of the things that we've been looking at is if you've been on the land, it is not a 1,400 or 2,000 acre mega site, I don't think. If you've been on it, it goes up and down. It's got a lot of creeks on it. It's really beautiful. But there are parts near the interstate that are conducive to some industrial use, whether that's some logistics, whether that's manufacturing, data centers. And that's where we are right now is we're talking to engineers and the state and the utilities. What can this property be good for to maximize the public benefit? My guess, if you twisted my arm and said, Eric, today you got to make an answer, I'd say there's some industrial up kind of near the interstate. You're going to have some public park land in some of the steeper, really the prettiest areas where there's Walker Creek and some of the other creeks. And then there may be a commercial use here or there, and you may have residential. I think it's going to be a gift that gives back to the community over many, many years. But one of the things I always try to remind folks, it is not a mega site. Mm-hmm. I don't think we have a bulldozer big enough to make that a 500 acre pad.
And what was the price on that?
It was $6.5 million for the 14-ish acres, and then there's some options that they may exercise that would raise that a little bit more.
For a county the size of Haralson County and the finances of Haralson County, how quickly do they have to do something to get some money off of that? I mean, if you've got $6 million in this thing and that money's just sitting there, I mean, how quickly do they really need to do it?
Well, I think John Daniel may have just texted you. Probably not, at least on the Facebook page. They were looking for a check yesterday. No, the Capitol is really, really patient. Because they want to do the right thing. And so that's one of the reasons that we're stepping back and we're really going to take a hard look at it. Somebody got me in the grocery store last night and said, hey, we overpaid for that land. I was like, I don't think we did. But I do think that you don't expect to get a $6.5 million check by the end of the year.
This discussion with the landfill has gone on for at least 3 to 5 years. Was there ever a time that you ever saw the thought, whether it's through other chambers, to where this could have been beneficial to Haralson County? Could it attract? I mean, I don't know if it would attract other business. I mean, was there any reason to believe at any time that could have been something? I mean, benefit your job. I mean, benefit the chamber.
The community was uninterested in
Sure.
even that consideration.
Yeah.
And they made that very, very clear. So I did reach out to other communities to see how they did, and some were positive and some were negative, but our community was not that interested, to say the least.
To say the least, yeah. Eric McDonald, President and CEO of Haralson County Chamber of Commerce. Our guest on this morning's Community Voice, along with Brian Dill, who's President and CEO of Carroll Tomorrow and the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce. Been in this seat full-time now, is it less than a month, about a month?
About a month and a half.
Yeah. What kind of changes do chamber members, what are they seeing right now? I mean, what kind of, have you already implemented anything to give chamber members confidence, or the city's confidence that you're doing anything different or working hard to bring in business?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of different initiatives in partnership with Eric and Haralson and our friends in Heard County. One is to take a look at our existing 7-county Joint Development Authority, which had been in existence for quite some time. It was the Greater West Georgia JDA, and had been actually defunct since 2019, hadn't been active, hadn't been registered with the Department of Community Affairs. And there had been this discussion, I guess, over the last couple of years, Eric, on how we recreate a regional approach on economic development.
And you had to have a quorum for that group, is that why? And that's why they never met, and that's why they kind
It was one of the reasons.
Yeah.
That, from an activity standpoint, with 7 counties, you had a lot of differences of opinion in terms of
at least
market.
one or two of those counties are closer towards actually Atlanta, right? If not,
Correct.
Fulton County. I mean, was Fulton County in there, or was it?
No, it was, Troop, Coweta, Heard, Carroll, Haralson, Polk, Paulding. Did I miss any? Yeah.
So yeah, it may be Paulding has totally different ideas in Carroll County.
So we looking at it and saying, well, how can we have do a better regional approach? And my argument is there's probably less than half the counties in Georgia that can support industrial development and also agribusiness development. And so when you look at this region, what makes the most sense from a collaborative effort, it was a Carroll Haralson Heard initiative that was centered on corridor development, Interstate 20 and Highway 27. Together, exits 5, 11, 19, and 24 represent probably the last open corridor in terms of interstate development in Georgia, particularly in the metro Atlanta market. And then Highway 27's access to agribusiness opportunities kind of lended itself to have a 3-county initiative. So We went about the method of dissolving the 7-county, which basically says you have to pull yourself out of that initiative and then recreate the new one. Very excited about that. Haralson is the last one to take up the initiative in front of the county commission. Once that takes place,
We like to take our time.
well, you had a little bit of business to take.
We had some other things going on.
Had some product development. Once that takes place, we will move to put intergovernmental agreements in place that dictates what each county puts in terms of their investment, their expectation on what they get out, which will look very similar to the Savannah Chatham JDA, which is where Hyundai is, and the Covington 4-county Joint Development Authority, which was probably the one of the first ones like it that was created that just recently got the Rivian project. And then step 3 would be, at such time, just like Eric has done in Haralson, that we acquire property and choose to put that property internal to the Joint Development Authority, ownership within the JDA. We petition the state to become what is called a regional Joint Development Authority. What that allows us to do is take advantage of the state's job tax credit status, which we all do anyway now. If you're a member of a Joint Development Authority, you get an additional $500 per job tax credit afforded to that company. What a regional Joint Development Authority designation allows you to do is take advantage of the lowest tier of the counties that are participating. So in Georgia, there are tiers 1 through 4, with tier 1 counties receiving the most job tax credits at $3,500 per job, and then tier 4 counties receiving the least at $750. Carroll and Haralson are currently tier 3, which gives us $1,250 per job, while Heard County is a tier 1 at $3,500. Regardless of where that property is in that defined JDA area, every one of those companies locating get the tier 1 status. Is an incredible competitive advantage for us, and one of those things that when we were looking at what sets us apart, that certainly is where we will want to go at the end of the day.
Before we do take our final break, any kind of projects or anything you guys are kind of excited about that you can share with us this morning? Maybe some conversations you've had or some interest you've had in some properties. And, of course, I'd mentioned the CarMax on my newscast, but maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, Carrollton's working, City of Carrollton is working closely with the CarMax organization on the creation of a entity for them, which may or may not be the first of its kind, may be one more out there. But it's an intake facility that takes all vehicles that they purchase, resets them, services them before they go on a CarMax lot. And that'll be coming to Carrollton and Carroll County in early 2024. So we're excited about
allegedly 150 jobs just to start out, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Well, how about you, Eric? You want to share any secrets?
Well, I can't give you all the secrets, but the Tallapoosa Development Authority met Wednesday night and signed a purchase and sale agreement with a company that's going to build a building that's going to be either $160,000 or about $230,000. So they're still trying to work that down. It's kind of in the EV automotive supplier space. So we're really excited about that, and hopefully there'll be an announcement for that when the company kind of figures out exactly where it wants to land. We should know something in the next couple of weeks as to final plans.
And I thought of another question, and I meant to ask this earlier. As far as a development authority, to have those authorities, why do we need that authority to purchase a property and then hang on to it, and then because you buy it and then you kind of sell it out again, right, to the business that comes in?
Sure.
Why couldn't the county do that, or the original property owner do that?
Well, so development authorities really exist to do the things that counties can't.
But why can't the county do that?
The state constitution says, hey, if I'm going to give you a piece of property, I'm going to have to go out to the open market. I'm going to have to bid that thing. Well, our job is to create jobs and wealth in the communities. And so back in the 60s or 70s, the state legislature realized a couple of things. One, that we needed to be competitive on land pricing. And putting that out to bid might mean that we couldn't get an industry in because maybe that's part of an incentive package. So if I can't give the land to the company to come in because this guy over here is going to buy it, well, then I'm not going to get the company. And the other part of that is to offer tax incentives. So again, the state constitution says, hey, I got to treat all the taxpayers the same. And so development authorities can do a kind of very complicated, because all of the lawyers in the legislature, thanks guys, but they did create a very complicated structure which requires a development authority. So the development authority exists in that space, and then really the final reason is they've created a group of people that have a very specialized interest. Right? County governments are very broad, they're very service related, they have roads to pave, they've got fires to put out, they've got all these things to do. Well, they needed a group of people that are really focused on how am I going to create jobs, wealth, increase wages in my community. And so by creating that, appointing a group of folks to do that, it just helps them kind of accomplish that, that one piece of the community pie.
As opposed to a commissioner who's an educator, as a teacher or something, may not be as focused as that. And the members are appointed?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. I could have gone someplace else, but we're only going to have like 2 minutes left to go. Oh, do you guys get to offer the tax incentives? Do you guys get to encourage those businesses, say, hey, I'll give you a tax incentive, or do you have to clear that through the county commission
Great
first?
question. So what we're doing in addition to creating this new JDA is walking through a process of a standardized incentive policy for our local development authorities, Carroll and Haralson, but also for the new joint development authority. Very transparent, very open. It looks specific on job creation, minimum capital investment requirements, and those will be pre-approved through all of our jurisdictions. And so if I'm sitting with the prospect with Haralson and Carroll, we would have that in front of the county commissioners or city council people first, and those will be approved. And so everybody kind of knows what we're offering. It's not a under the table or
because no doubt. I mean, you guys see the when the millage rate's being discussed, you guys see people get ticked off about what they think they're going to have to pay on taxes, and when they see somebody getting a tax break, they kind of complain about that. So I mean, but you have to balance that out, don't you, as far as the incentive and what this business will mean for the future.
Yeah, again, so most of the community-owned industrial parks pay zero taxes. So 100% of nothing is still nothing. Even when you look at a community that brings in, a Honda, for example, a Honda Precision Parts in Tallapoosa and Minbia now was Honda Lock. Those two entities pay the equivalent of 2.5 mills worth of tax in Haralson County. So if they evaporated, then everybody's taxes in Haralson County would go up to at least 2.5 mills, because we haven't even included the cities. So, yeah, it's important.
8:56. We're going to take our final break and come back with about the 12 seconds, I think. So I'll give you guys 6 seconds each.
12 seconds.
When we come back. Yeah, right. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System, Oak Mountain Academy.
The Entrepreneur Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined curriculum-based track to acquire essential knowledge and skills for success in business and leadership. Critical areas include identifying entrepreneurial characteristics, selecting a value position, and business model development. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
8:58. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program. Our Friday show got about a minute left with my guest, Brian Dill and Eric Robinson.
No. Fine fellow, though.
All right. John Daniels checked back in. He said, from Haralson County to Carroll, you're talking about 60 miles total east and west for a business to branch and serve West Georgia. These guys see that opportunity. Thank you very much. All right. 32 seconds each. You want to say hi to anybody? Or?
Well, just kind of a quick ending on the incentives and job creation, job recruitment. One of our professionals in our industry has always said you can't give away what you don't collect, and I think it's been given a bad rap, but it's a very competitive environment from a recruitment standpoint, job creation, and community building. And we've got some very wonderful stakeholders that work for both of our organizations. Ryan Owenby's back with the Chamber of Commerce as our Senior Vice President Chamber Operations, Tara Chapman on his side of the
Wait,
fence
that's
to
my
kind of
job.
keep us going.
Hey, you're pulling out my staff.
He thought
now.
you had
I'm getting
enough.
better.
You had 20 minutes of the conversation. Guys, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, guys.
We could have talked for 2 hours. It's unfortunately part of my job is trying to lasso all this in together and to get it in 28 minutes. But thank you very much.
We'll
We
come
hope
back.
you guys, hope you do come back.
13.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, right, go Cubs. Thank you for listening to this morning's Community Voice on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. Have a great weekend, everybody.